the beginnings of a public debate with who is regarded as the leading Egyptian Egyptologist, Zahi Hawass. And unfortunately, in that debate, Zahi, it's actually on YouTube, bits of it, because there was a member of the audience present. Zahi massively lost his temper.
Don't talk to me, please. Go away from me. Shame on you. Why do you say something to me? Why?
And stormed out. And then...
so you won.
Then I don't know, but the debate didn't happen. Then I gave a talk. He sat sulking outside. Then he came back, gave his talk. Then the audience asked questions. And again, bits of this were filmed. And one of the audience asked him if he knew about a site called Göbekli Tepe.
The recent discovery of a gigantic megalithic site in Turkey dated to 11,600 years ago, and to wonder whether we should raise questions over the Sphinx again.
I don't think that what has been said is right. It has nothing to do with anything. In my opinion, we know the date of the Sphinx. What has been found in Turkey, I don't think, and I don't know if this is true or not. Did you ever hear about this? Make a comment.
Yes.
Which is probably the most important archaeological site in the world at the moment. And Zahi said that he didn't know anything about it at all, and that was on camera. So unfortunately, the man is actually enormously knowledgeable about ancient Egypt, but unfortunately he came across looking not very good. And ever since then, my relationship with him, which had been okay until 2015, has been extremely negative. And when the Egyptian government are approached for filming permission, which these days is done through the Tourism and Antiquities Permission, when they're approached for filming permission, Zahi's the guy they go to and say, is it okay for these people to come in?
I want to call. I want to let this man know to enter this country because he's a cock. It's not my own business. We should get. Please, I don't want to talk to you. Please, leave me alone.
So here's my take on all this. If you're familiar with this subject, you'll already know that Graham Hancock and Zahi Hawass are adversaries. That's nothing new. And the reasons are fairly obvious, being that Zahi Hawass works hard to prove and promote the academic line, while Graham Hancock sees a bigger picture, one with out-of-place artefacts and inconsistencies of the academic view, and looks at the ancient technological aspects of the sites and theorizes over a prior civilization. To Mr. Hawass, it seems that any deviation from the accepted academic timeline is totally unthinkable. There are many controversies around Mr. Hawass, but equally there are controversies around Graham Hancock. But I'm not going to go into the controversies of either of these two. But as a rule, I agree with the theories of Graham Hancock, primarily because it matches the strange dream regressions that I've had since I was a small child. So feel free to write me off alongside Graham Hancock. I feel I would be in excellent company. But before you do, you should listen to my opinion on Zahi Hawass, because it might not be what you're expecting. So, as for Zahi Hawass, in my opinion, there is much more to his story and motivations than we are told, both good and bad. Other than being unpleasantly bad-tempered, I actually think he is a brilliant man who does amazing work. He is unrelenting in his work towards returning the artifacts of Egypt from around the world, and he is a great asset to Egypt as his tenacious nature achieves these sorts of goals. I am, however, of the opinion that things are not as they are painted. Here is where my conspiratorial side comes out, because I think that Mr. Hawass has discovered things that don't reach the light of day, in terms of like press conferences, etc. He strives to keep any alternative theories regarding the history of Egypt under wraps and discredited, and there's a good reason for this, and I think it's not the obvious one. Here's the nitty-gritty, in my opinion. Reputedly, he started his career under the wing of the Association of Research and Enlightenment, i.e. the Edgar Cayce Foundation, as did Mark Lehner. He is therefore a strong candidate for secretly knowing all about the real past of Egypt before the dynastic Egyptians arrived on the scene. So based on that, I am of the opinion that Zahi Hawass actually works quietly for the betterment of humanity. And I know most of you will probably disagree with me on this, but it is while he also feathers his own nest by being the most famous Egyptologist of current times, and also the number of books he's written. So, because he's had so many successful books, it's very, very impressive. I even own the odd one myself. So, without any evidence to offer you whatsoever, what do I think is actually going on? Okay, here it is, because in my dream regressions, there are two factions that pursue the ancient technology. But remember that all my knowledge is from 3,000 odd years ago. But I imagine that not much has changed regarding this sort of thing since then. In my opinion, there are two groups. The first group are the followers of Japay, who knowingly or unknowingly today include those people controlling various military groups, as well as the Vatican. This group has two objectives: to keep humanity shackled in order to retain power, and to get any ancient technology for the military, i.e. for controlling the people. This group has a habit of sending in military or mercenary types to secure and collect items that are found to be of interest. The other group are the followers of Uran, and these people work towards preventing ancient technologies getting into the wrong hands. And by that I mean into the hands of people who might use that technology for destructive purposes. That's not only the first group. There are other people who would be very interested in getting their hands on this technology. So either group is going to prevent the public from ever knowing what's been found, but their reasons for doing so are vastly different. I think both Zahi Hawass and Mark Lehner fall into the group that I believe are the group of the good guys. But that doesn't make it any less frustrating that we don't get to know what is really going on. And I would love to know what they've found and all the things that they're keeping silent about.